And I'm Galen Gandofi, and I'm Chief Communications Officer with Justine Peterson in St. Louis. And I'm gonna put this microphone right over here and just start yelling at you guys. Well, I have this microphone, right? We're fine. You know, I wanted Vanessa to do this at the icebreaker this morning, but she didn't, so I'm gonna do it right now. Who was here? Who came to the summit last year? We're not here, but it was at Rutgers. Who came last year? Oh, just a few of you. Well, I just need to tell you this. So, there was like the most pungent aroma of cannabis at a hotel at every hour coming from the elevator shaft. And this year I was like, is this like an LFA phenomenon? So when I got to the Sheraton yesterday, before I even checked in, I went right over to the elevator shaft and pushed the button. I'm like, went down. So anyway, thanks for coming out. So some of you were at the earlier session and have been abused already by me, and I see there's some repeat offenders in the front. But I'm really excited to engage everyone. In fact, she probably doesn't know it, but Michelle from CBA. Boy, am I going to talk so much about CBA. Michelle and I, we'll bring Michelle up to talk about it. But that's really important. In fact, all that I have to say doesn't mean much if you're not reporting units to credit bureaus, and you can do that through CPA. So guess what? I'm known for tangents, and I'm not interested in my first couple slides. I already want to talk about who in the room is reporting to credit bureaus any of your small dollar loans. Or somebody is, please? Yeah? Yeah? Through what apparatus? How? Through CPA?
Yeah, through CPA.
Oh, great. Talk about it.
So Altitude started.
Get up here. Come on, don't be shy. Come on. Oh, this is so exciting. Look, no, you know what? This conference isn't about like me talking about whatever. It's about you guys doing stuff, and your name again is Sean Wong. This is what it's about. Learning from another microfinance collegiate group. I mean, this is, I know I'm being like overly dramatic here, but this is what we need. We need you guys reporting to credit bureaus. That's what's going to really impact customers, not just lending the money. And so we want to emulate what you're doing. So teach us how you did it. Tell us what you did.
Sure. So Elmseed started reporting credit in around January of 2012. And basically the way it works is you have to add every new loan that you disperse, you have to add this person into a system that we use called Lira data. And so you can't just send like your repayment schedule or your history to the credit bureau or to the major credit bureaus or even to CBA, because that information is highly sensitive. And so you have to use another software that will kind of encrypt all that data. They then send that to the CBA, and the CBA reports on our behalf to the major credit bureaus. Credit reporting is really hard, so I don't think that should be underestimated. It's an incredibly technical and highly regulated space. So we figured that out kind of through experience. It's been really challenging, but like Galen said, it's absolutely important to your success as a microfinance organization, because you have to keep in mind that our roles as MFIs are part of like this greater vision of financial inclusion, right? So you don't want to just help this small entrepreneur with this one small loan, but you want to help them succeed in the future, get bigger loans, and to do that, they do have to improve their credit scores. Additionally, just from a more operational perspective, it gives you leverage with your loan clients. So a lot, if you have someone who's been kind of iffy about paying back, you can say, look, if you don't pay us back, it has real implications on your credit score and longer impact, so that they kind of take you more seriously as an organization.
You're doing that. I don't sit here. You're doing an excellent job. No, keep going. I have questions for you. Literally, so like, I'm out here now, and so how do you get started? Why can't you report right to CBA? Why did you need to go to this other step? And how do we already? Honestly, I want to know Monday how you can go back to your campus and do what you're doing. So you talked about this step in between you and CBA. Mm-hmm. Why can't you go right to CBA?
Because kind of like I mentioned, you need to put the data in the correct format. That's like a technical thing that.
Listen, I'll give you $10 if you talk like 5 more minutes. So
okay.
Tell everybody.
$10 first.
Yeah. I can't believe it. I mean, this is it for my microphone. I don't even have $10. I have $2.
I'll take the black
No. So this is great. How can we do this? When we go home on Monday, how can we have a meeting with our other peers and say, we want to start reporting to credit bureaus? Can you explain this second step that you're reporting to?
So we use a software called Lira Data. I would talk to Michelle in a lot greater detail, both Michelle and Vanessa and Rohan, before really getting getting into this because it's a lot. You can't really do it lightly just because if you don't credit report properly, it really hurts your clients. And so figuring out whether or not Lear data is the best software for you is probably, for your organization, is probably is a better conversation to have with Michelle, I think.
So thank you so much. Michelle, you're on.
Thank you.
Come on, tell us how it's done. I can't even pronounce that software. What is it called?
Lear data.
Okay.
Yeah, so to expand on what she had said, there is a very technical side to credit reporting. It involves software, some of which can be quite complex, other not so much, but essentially, thank you so much.
And if you can outline what they can do on Monday. On Monday, what do they do to connect with you and make this happen?
Great, yes. So you can connect with me anytime by email or phone. My email is michelle@creditbuildersalliance.org. And I'm in the relationship team role, so what I do is help organizations such as yours become credentialed with major credit bureaus. So it's a bit complex. Our contracts involve making sure you're institutionally ready, you understand the implications of reporting under the Fair Credit Reporting Act. But on the software side, we provide a lot of technical assistance, making sure that you enter your loan payments properly in your databases, generating a Metro 2 report that can integrate with the credit bureau databases. Otherwise, too much information going in and out, you can't populate the credit reports that you pull for your clients. Question?
Michelle, what does it cost my MFI to get with CPA, and what credit bureaus do you report to?
Great question. So we're currently only reporting to Experian and TransUnion, but we are working on a partnership with Equifax, so that's in the works. Please stay tuned. So 2 out of the 3 major credit bureaus isn't too bad. The cost would be for current campus MFIs $225 for setup, a $100 membership fee, that's annual. And then once you're live with both bureaus, it is you're reporting on a monthly basis. That would be $300 annually. So we provide a lot of TA for you, setting up an eOscar account, which is a consumer dispute process. We receive the disputes, notify you, help you resolve them to be compliant with the Fair Credit Reporting Act.
So in a nutshell, roughly $500 a year is it to be CPA related and reported?
Yes, roughly. And something to keep in mind is we don't actually provide the software you need, so it is an investment on your end, but we're really there to answer all the questions you have. And we do understand the turnover aspect of campus MFI, so we're really there to pick up where you leave off, should you not be able to share that with your other officers. Yes?
Do you have to be a 501c3?
Yes, that is a really important question. I do know that the IRS has some backlogs in approving their application process, so that is a really big part of the credentialing process. We essentially prepare the packages for the bureaus, and that is something we really want you to have.
Yeah, it's like, Michelle, stay with me. Let's talk about this. So look, the whole 501c3 thing, you're like, oh, I don't want to take on all that paperwork. And, you know, after the kind of like, you know, we're affiliated with the Tea Party, so we'll never get through the IRS. No, but what I'm getting with is that, let's think about this, because I don't want the 501c3 issue being a formidable obstacle. So let's already think about connecting with a 501c3 in the community, on campus, to expedite getting with Michelle and CPA. I'll be honest with you, I have nothing else to say than I want you to report units through CPA. It's so important. The other thing though, Michelle mentioned this eOscar thing, and I'm going to talk a lot about credit building today. I'm going to talk a lot about disputing or repair, these other, for purposeful reasons why I don't use that kind of verbiage. But this eOscar is huge, and we're talking about a legitimate way to get the bad stuff off of credit reports, because I'll tell you, there's so much nonsense out there, okay? And there's so many people charging our clients to do this kind of work. So can you talk a little bit about eOscar? Because what I really want everyone in the group to bring back to their MFIs on Monday is we're going to try to start reporting the CBA. If we're not a 501c3, we'll connect with a 501c3, and then we also want to get this eOscar thing going with our clients.
Sure. Yes. So eOscar is an extremely important part. Again, I can't say it enough. The Fair Credit Reporting Act is something that reigns in the consumer credit reporting industry, so you definitely need to understand the implications of that. The eOscar system comes once you are credentialed by the bureaus. They provide you a thing called a subscriber code. We put that into the eOscar management system. We monitor the queue for you, so that's staff time and effort you don't have to expend. We're really there to answer questions around it. And yeah, partnering with local institutions can be really valuable, especially if you are servicing loans but you don't feel like you're able to report those per obstacles you have. So that's something to be said, but we're definitely there to walk hand in hand.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about the office issue? Because I know this is something that we've probably had hours of calls about. But,
Yes. So we do understand that you guys oftentimes are newer and you haven't established permanent office space. And this is something extremely important in the credentialing process because the bureaus are coming to your sites to make sure that you're established, you have data protection and security in place. So permanent computers that are password protected, signage, phones that are voicemail set up. These things you really take for granted. Some of you are working in shared office spaces or you're changing every couple of years. So
yeah, the dorm room just won't cut it.
Yeah, it really won't. So the idea of permanency is very valuable if you're looking at the credit bureau perspective of who they want to credential and why. So we are playing in their space.
Excellent. Michelle, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'm learning so much. I'm actually kind of interested maybe in just giving this microphone. You can just come, everyone do like your 10 minutes and then we'll go from there and we'll fill out a survey and we'll be done. But no, this is really, really exciting. Thank you for that. I do need to ask this, I guess, then. So let's already talk about obstacles. Who here, whose MFI is not a 501c3? I would think most of you are not probably, but most of you are. You've done a paper one? I'm sorry, so who is a 501c3? Oh, okay, so yeah. So all of us have to think about this idea of connecting with one. That's really important. It's really, really important. Michelle, can you give a couple examples?
Sure.
Or actually, yeah.
I can come back to this.
Who have groups, because this is really important. I mean, what are the options? What have groups done? Where have they went? If they're a collegiate group, where have they went to connect with a 501c3?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Or let me ask, you've done it. Oh no, you're a 501c3.
Yeah, we are.
We're connected
Oh, you're connected to
to Entrepreneur Works in Philadelphia.
Brady.
Oh gosh. So just
And you are,
we're the Hartford College Microfinance.
but you're Claire.
I'm Claire.
Okay, great. Give it up for Claire.
So we're not actually lending, which makes this a little different. We're doing like primary market assessment and like helping them develop the products they want to use. So we're affiliated with them, and we might start lending in the future. But if we did, they would be kind of our umbrella, and they are 501c3. So we talked to like the 3 major loan providing nonprofits in Philly, and they were most excited to work with us, and we were the most excited to work with them. And they've proven to be really interesting like partner clients so far. So I
Excellent.
don't know how much.
No, great. Thanks, Claire. So today's session, this is just one of the titles. Let me tell you something. This is what they wanted me to call it. So I had a different title. I think there's 3 different titles. There was a different title on the website. There's a different title in what was printed out in your form today. And then there's this title. But guess what, people? We're going to talk about credit building regardless, okay? And I really don't care what it's called. It's more about the message. Is this my clicker? Maybe not. I have to find another arrow. I'm disabled up here. Can I have help with, oh, there we go. Excellent. Okay, this is the mission of Justine Peterson, and I want to boil it down to this. That is, it's this idea of access to capital. Each and every one of you in the room, by being a microlender, that's what you do. You provide access to capital. And some of you who are maybe in the unbanked session early on heard me talk about this idea of connecting with mainstream finance. You know what? The work that you do is a port of entry to mainstream finance. That means we're all about helping people, empowering them, greenlighting them to banks and credit unions. Honestly, that's the work that we do. And so I want to make it clear at the LFA Summit, as much as I'm pro micro enterprise, microfinance, Kiva in Bangladesh and what have you, that's international microfinance. Here domestically, the Western Hemisphere equivalent is us emulating banking. And if you think it's something different than that, then we need to talk. It can be different, and I'm open to that, but we don't necessarily think we're going to be peer lending, circle lending. But what I'm trying to get at is that our goal is to empower people foster bankable behaviors. And hence, when I talk about credit scores today, it's about this idea of empowering people with credentials. So guess what? We want to create banking behaviors. People understand how banking works. And again, I can't express to you how important it is that what we do comports to the construct of mainstream finance. Doesn't mean that there isn't any wiggle room, okay? But in the end, we want to make sure that they graduate what we're doing. And in fact, you know, in many cases, we want to put ourselves out of business, right? Or we want our need not to be there. We want people to graduate from the work that we do and really go to banks and credit unions. Let me see if I can get this arrow right. Do I need to be pointing this somewhere? Maybe I should just use that one. Okay, so let me first just quickly tell you a little bit about Justine Peterson. We're 17 years in existence. We're named after the social worker Justine Peterson, who was a pioneer in St. Louis, working with banks on a lot of progressive loan products that fall under something called the Community Reinvestment Act, CRA. We partner a lot with banks. All of you in the room could partner with banks from the perspective of CRA. So let me tell you a little bit of dirt. Banks are they're legislated to invest in communities that are underserved. So what does that mean? You can start capitalizing your loan pools by going to banks and asking one for a donation or an investment. And they'll be open to that because they could get CRA credit. You guys, who just got $50,000? Who told me this? But that's from a private individual, correct? Has any bank? Yes.
We're funded by Capital One for credit building.
Great. How much?
10,000.
Excellent. Anyone else here? Anyone else have an example of a bank or a financial institution either granting money or investing in their loan pool? But anyway, this whole idea that of partnering with banks. So the Justine was a pioneer in this, and she was, we didn't call it financial capability then, and to define financial capability is taking financial literacy and education and weighing it with products. And some of you maybe were in the previous session, and honestly, we have to get comfortable with sales and products. They're all ethical, but that's how we're going to empower people. We're merely not going to educate them. We're going to connect them with products and services that come out of mainstream finance. So Justine was avant-garde, if you will, on this idea of financial capability. Why? She was a social worker. And if you look at social work 25 years ago, it was primarily clinical. If you look at social work now, and we have so many social workers at Justine Peterson, they're all doing economic empowerment. They're all doing this kind of economic development track. And that's all about this idea of financial capability. So some of us already may be comfortable with the idea of financial services and banking. Some of us may be uncomfortable. We're coming more from a social service perspective. But I already want to know, who in the room's uncomfortable? I'll start with comfort first. Who in the room's comfortable with the idea of microfinance, working in partnership with mainstream finance? Okay. Who's uncomfortable with that? Get up here. Come on up. You're the next contestant. Let's talk about it. That's great. Tell me why. Introduce yourself, tell me why, and then tell me how we can, what an alternative is.
Okay. Hi, I'm Nicole. I'm uncomfortable with it because I don't have a large amount of knowledge about finance.
Sure.
And that's one of the main reasons I'm here to learn more about it. But I'm very interested in, I guess, the social aspects of helping people in the community empower themselves economically, and also just learning more about how microfinance can enable people, at first locally in New Haven, but also internationally, become more financially stable and also provide for their families and further stimulate the economy to help others provide for their families in the future.
Excellent. No, thank you for that. I really appreciate your point about it impacting lives and transforming lives and helping people. Let me dumb it down. All of us are here today, all of us are here at the summit for 2 days to learn how to help people. Honestly, so as much as you hear me talking a lot about banking, about finance, and I didn't come from a social work background. My schooling's in urban and regional planning. but it's about helping people. And I'm really sincere about that. We need to be passionate. We need to be committed to that. If in fact we're coming more from a perspective of just wanting to kind of analyze and observe the population, then maybe this is not a good fit for you, because we need to be with the client, working with the client. Justin Peterson does 3 things primarily. We started as a HUD-certified counseling agency, helping people buy homes. We still do that. We've done about 5,000 homes for people. We do this idea of credit building, obviously, and I'll talk a lot about that. And then we are a microlender. We're actually the nation's 2nd largest microlender for the SBA, the Small Business Administration. But we also have something called a CDFI, a Community Development Financial Institution, which allows banks, foundations, private wealth types to invest and actually earn a socially responsible return on investment. Socially responsible. I already want to do another tangent cameo. I know there's 2 groups here that talked about social entrepreneurship, and that's somewhat related to your discussion about how to web finances but help people. That's kind of what social entrepreneurship is all about. So wait, I remember some social entrepreneurship. You're from a social entrepreneurship group, right? Let's make it happen. Tell us a little bit about social entrepreneurship, how it relates to this. Because I mean, what we do as MFIs is a social entrepreneurship venture, is it not? Come on up. That said, we don't need to be lending only to social entrepreneurs, okay? You guys can make those loans. Justin Peterson has a social entrepreneurship loan fund specific to social entrepreneurship ventures. But I want to make sure that every MFI views themselves from the perspective of being a socially responsible or a social entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurial venture. Need a microphone? And you are again Timothy, okay.
So I guess in our, so Johns
Did you consider your MFI?
So Johns Hopkins doesn't have one yet.
Okay.
We have a lot of different either tech transfer groups or incubators. So Social Innovation Lab ties to, as I view it here at the moment, the insight I have now, just that a lot of the time the money is the 3rd stage.
Okay.
There's a lot of things along the process before really some can be friends. So the things that you're teaching along the way before you really can responsibly, provide them that credit and the funds that they might want. There's a lot of things that lead up to that. And through some frameworks, the money is actually, maybe the 3rd step along that line. So, the education is a big component that ultimately you're trying to provide to individuals. Just the skills through which they can build and grow. Ultimately, some might want to push them into the traditional banking system eventually
Sure.
when they can get there. So taking them down that path it's a tough one.
Excellent. Thank you, Timothy. Is anyone here specifically loaning to social entrepreneurship ventures? You are? I just looked at my watch. Only 22 minutes left. Oh my God, we have so much to talk about. Okay, please tell me. So you made loans to social entrepreneurs. Where do you find them?
So, pretty much.
This is fascinating. In Grinnell, Iowa?
Yeah.
Okay.
So pretty much we're situated in Grinnell, Iowa, obviously, and we're called the Social Entrepreneurs of Grinnell. So pretty much what we do is there are many community members who own very small businesses and things like that. So we will do things like we'll give out loans to like entrepreneurial loans for people who want to start something up or.
But are you defining then any mom and pop operation as a social entrepreneurship venture?
Well, I guess pretty much what we do is just like we just go out into the community
Okay.
and whoever needs help, we just assist them, and we consider that to be.
I would too. That's a broad definition, but I would too. I'd have to comment.
So, yeah, so pretty much also not just people who own businesses in town, but also individuals who are going through some sort of emergency. We provide emergency loans, provide international loans, credit building loans, financial education.
Wow, you're
courses.
incredibly advanced in terms of what your MFI is doing. I kid you not. Oh, we have so much to talk about in so little time, so let me start going through this, okay? So this morning, actually just a few minutes ago, Michelle talked about e-Oscar, and I'm going off on another tangent, but it's related to this credit repair. We're interested in building credit, active lines of credit that report to credit bureaus. That can happen through CBA, but CBA also offers this e-Oscar service, which is amazing to dispute. So quickly, you're probably driving around or whatever, and you see all these, maybe you're riding your bike, but you see all these yard signs everywhere about credit repair, clean up your credit, pay off collections. We're in support of that. As MFIs, we should be. But look, your first dollar, you were supposed to take your couple dollars that I gave you, but the first dollar a client has should be toward an active line of credit to build credit, not to clean up credit. Not about cleaning, not about repairing. It's not that I'm against that, but I want to push the verb build first and foremost in everyone's mind. Why? That's how you build a credit score, an active line of credit. And if you heard me doing my manifesto earlier today about a secured credit card, that's another example. It's a line of credit. It goes on forever. You don't shop with it. You keep a zero balance. You put $25, $50 of gasoline in it each month. You pay it off. Active lines of credit. When your clients are coming to you, you should not be merely cleaning up their credit or repairing their credit. In fact, I want you to do that as second priority. I first want you to build credit, and you'll do that how? Lend them money. You lend them money, you report it to credit bureaus through the CBA. And I'm not in cahoots with CBA. We're a member of CBA, but I mean, CBA is just an excellent service, so that's why I keep referencing CBA tailored specifically to this. But we want to be building credit first before repairing and cleaning. All right, education and counseling. Couple things. Be wary, and you'll see it on your client's credit report, some of these debt management counseling services, charging them an arm and a leg to consolidate payments. All that stuff is criminal. I mean, it's not, it's legal, but I'm gonna say it's criminal because people shouldn't be paying that. They can do it themselves. You can teach them to do that. That's what counseling is all about, empowering the individual to understand. Listen, also 3E Oscar, but then they all can write a dispute letter to the Fair Credit Reporting Act. All of them are entitled to write that letter to dispute what's on a credit report. Legally, they have 30 days to see if it's accurate or not, and then it comes off a credit report. So again, your clients can do that. They do not need to pay for that service. If I'm going too fast, let me know, but I have to admit I got to turn it up here. So it's an asset. Let me quickly ask you this, because then I'll be able to modify my presentation today. How many of you were in the unbanked seminar this morning? A good amount, mostly everybody. So I think I may not hit upon this idea that how important a credit score is. But I do want to show of hands for anyone who isn't aware of how a credit score impacts somebody's life or empowers them. Does anyone need more exposition about that? Be honest, because if you weren't in the first session, then you may need to know more about that. But this is what I want to impart to all of you. Justine Peterson views the credit report or the credit score as the fundamental asset in asset building. So this is very important. When we talk about international microfinance, when you're in Bangladesh, the credit score doesn't even exist. And that's why our model is totally different, people. We're all about you should not be lending money without reporting to credit bureaus. They must go hand in hand because we're not actually building assets. I'm going to tell you that. You might be helping someone with a short-term problem, but you're not empowering them from a sustainable perspective. I quickly want to say that again. You must build credit scores to truly empower someone. Why? Because guess what? People talk about, I have no debt, I don't owe anyone, I pay everything in cash. You tell a banker that, you don't get anywhere. It's this idea of access to capital. And I know I sound like a broken record, but you're never going to empower anyone until you build the credential of what? The credit score, because that allows access to not just resources, but to capital. Yes?
I would just tie that in, to tie it to goals, to like actual real
That
goals.
sounds great. I want you to say that. Stand up, please.
I would tie it into goals, whatever their short-term goals may be. Not just, getting a better job, but, whatever that amount of money is going to do to them. Whether it's moving into that house or moving into, whatever it is. Just tying it to short-term goals, long-term goals, and reassessing it with them.
Oh, it is. It is. It's so huge. It's so huge. People, I want to say something else kind of crazy here. And that is, sure, I'm in support of raising the minimum wage, but look, if we don't look at credit scores, do the math. The denominator is pretty easy. You take $250,000, which is a savings over your lifetime by having a high credit score, divide it by your 40-hour week, come on. There's your bump up per hour. And so don't get me wrong, I want to raise the minimum wage, but I want to do that and I want to raise credit scores. I'm telling you this, more money in somebody's wallet really doesn't get them that far if they're paying more for everything else. We don't have a lot of time for examples, but I want to tell you this. So one of the highest credit scores I ever saw, which was on my second day of the job with Justine Peterson, so it's a very seminal moment for me. The woman was in tears. She was 63 years old. She had an 840 credit score. It's an amazing credit score, right? She made $12,000 a year. She was crying because she told me, I'm not rich enough, is her term or phrase, to have a high credit score. I told her that has nothing to do with the money you're making. It has everything to do with your behavior of paying on time. She had 3 different jobs selling concessions at the stadiums in St. Louis. She worked her ass off. And one reason why her credit score is really high is that at that time there was a utility company that paid, that reported every month. Not all utility companies do. Though there are some water utility, municipal water firms, municipal water services out east here that do report to credit bureaus. She paid it like clockwork for 22 fucking years. 22 years. It was amazing. Quickly, what is the flip side? I met a woman who was working the assembly line in an auto assembly production plant north of St. Louis, okay? It has since closed. She's making something like, she's pulling down like $85,000 with her GED, and I'm not dissing the fact that she merely had a GED, but it made me rethink where my education's getting me right. But with overtime, she had a 6-figure salary. It was like $150,000. She had a piss poor credit score, 390. Why? Her 390 credit score meant her interest rate on her car was something crazy. It was 36%. Of course, she bought like a $55,000, $60,000 car. She had car insurance monthly to around $350. I told her she was driving a mobile home. That's essentially a house on wheels, right? And guess what? Of course, it's depreciating every day, whereas a house shouldn't, but as we know, sometimes can. So it's everything, guys. It's everything. I mean, that's it. You need those 2 stories. Which is the way to go? Make $150,000 a year and have an abysmal credit score, or make very little, but be competitive in the marketplace. It's so amazing. To me, it's such a powerful statement that is, we can empower the poorest by raising their credit score. Your small dollar loans can do that. That's what's so amazing. We don't need big money. We don't need big money, and that hence it's micro. It's so gorgeous. You know how this works. You have a piss poor credit score, you pay a high interest rate, okay? No more explanation there. All these people can review. There's going to be another session about how to reach your first client. Again, let's say, I hear all the time people say, I'm not going to buy a house, sir. I'm not interested. I'm not going to buy a house. This doesn't impact me. Ooh. Everybody's pulling your credit. You know, if not McDonald's, a similar firm is for your job application, rental housing. The most recently has been security. I've had a couple government officials come to me. They work in the Department of Defense. They pull their credit. They become a security risk. They need to raise their credit score. They're going to be transferred out of their department. It's a demotion. Can you believe it? It's amazing. Okay, how can you get your credit report? There's annualcreditreport.com. There's also myfico.com. Quickly though, people, you need a score and you need information. You can't have one or the other. Some of these services only give you information, but don't give you a score. Others give you a score and not information. What am I going to tell you? I think people should pay for a credit score through a counseling agency like your MFI once a year, maybe every 6 months, to get both. It doesn't matter that you have a 720 and you don't know anything about what's on there, because guess what? That 720 could be thin. That is, it's not really based on any active lines of credit. And I may not have time to go into it today, but you really want to have about 3 lines of credit reporting, okay? Quickly, if you have a 740 credit score, but it's based on 3 payments, now, it's like a batting average when you're up to bat once and you hit a home run. I mean, it needs to be over time, okay? So longevity is an issue, and I have a pie chart that will describe that, but I really, really want to impress upon you, you need the score and you need the information. Why do you need the information? Because you need the contact information to potentially dispute or negotiate. I know I'm going really fast, and I apologize.
So you said just the size of the report itself, so we keep talking about moving forward, reporting the...
Go ahead, what was that question?
We keep saying, we keep talking about reporting to move forward. And
Correct.
you just mentioned, so arguably the criteria by which an MFI is going to lend is completely not on the credit score, more on social factors or whatever that is.
Exactly, thank you for saying this.
Is there value because in the size? Meaning if somebody comes in and has a bad credit score but it's based on no history, it's because their first step at bat was a strikeout,
right?
You know,
more the reason to lend to them.
So is there value in using it coming the other way?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. None of us in the room, I hope, are going to please don't lend based on, you're not credit score driven. You're microfinance organizations. We're not a bank. And then someone will say, wait a minute, you're saying you're supposed to inspire behaviors that are bankable. That's how we do it, but we give everybody opportunity. You know, we all purvey opportunity, right? That's what we sell. So for anyone who is uncomfortable with me talking about products and services, maybe you'll be comfortable with me saying that every one of us in the room, we sell opportunity, ethical opportunity, safe and affordable opportunity, safe and affordable capital, okay? That's what we do. And yes, I want you lending money to those abysmal credit scores. Please, I want you lending money to people with no credit score. In fact, if you have no credit score, you can build your score more expeditiously than someone who has a really low credit score. So thank you for bringing it up. No, please, if you're doing credit score driven lending, which don't get me wrong, Justin Peterson will look at a credit score as it relates to how much money we'll lend. We don't want that to be a barrier. We're all about providing that opportunity to empower that person to actually gain access to capital at a more competitive rate down the road by having a higher credit score. Yeah, FICO versus Vantage. We really want to be looking at FICOs more so. That's what banks look at. There's also something called a mid-score, right? You have a TransUnion score, Experian, and Equifax. What falls in the middle could be your mid-score, and banks look at that. I have 9 minutes. All right. This is that whole idea about active lines of credit, people. The most important thing. They need an active line of credit. Again, I'm going to tell you, I'm interested in loaning money for a deposit on a secured credit card because it's with them for life. The loan that you lend to them reports, and then the card actually reports. Somebody mentioned this at the first session, and I appreciate that. I think she's in this room. Talked about keeping, thank you. Yes, let's keep it at 30%. You know what? Let's go lower. Wait a minute. When we open up a secured credit card for someone, guess what we tell them? You can't go shopping with it. In fact, you're not going to go Christmas shopping with it. You're not going to buy shoes. No. You're going to take an existing expense. Quick question. Anybody in the room here have to pay for anything? Ever? I know some of us. I know. It's a good life, right? Take an existing expense. No, quickly. This is huge. Your clients are mostly going to say, credit card means bad, I shop, that means bad. Right, we're going to remove all that from the equation. I want you to think about it not as a credit card, I want you to think about it as a tool, as a vehicle for building credit, which means you put one purchase on it a month. Do most of your clients eat? I think they do. So let them buy groceries once. Look, they have cash, and this is how you should talk to them. Because I know somebody keeps cash in their glove box in their car, it's just that ridiculous. But look, if they have cash and they're going to buy food, say no. Cash goes in pocket, right? Take out credit card, buy food. Cash that you had in pocket goes to pay the credit card at the end of the month. That balance, the same balance, which means you're not consuming more. So quickly, your client should never consume. You know what? 30%, no, this is what I want it to be. That's what it should be. They pay it off every month. It's a zero balance, okay? Maturity, the longer your account is open, the bigger bang you get, okay? So look, you're counseling people, they just opened up a credit card, or they just opened up a retail charge account. Let's say they have too many accounts open, they have 7 accounts open, they have 5 retail charge accounts. Close the charge account that was open last month, close the charge account, even though it has a high interest rate, as long as they have zero balance, that's been open 3 years, because that's gaining them more punch, okay? I mean, I know people who had credit cards, retail credit cards, for over 30 years, which is amazing. You need a mix, installment versus revolving. You're paying the same thing each month, that's installment. Revolving is like a card, it changes each month. If you want the biggest bang, the optimal credit score needs 3 things. It needs more than one line, it needs a diversity of lines that is revolving versus installment, ideally a 50-50% ratio, and you need to have mature accounts, okay? Oh, here we go. This is the pie chart. Oh, of course, and the main thing, of course, is paying on time. That's the main thing, okay? Everything else is a wash if you don't pay on time. Hey, I'm going to get quasi-evangelical for a second, because I talk in front of churches all the time. And I try not to swear when I'm in front of congregations. But what I tell them is that, you know what? I don't really agree with credit scoring, but guess what? It's actually forward-looking. The math is one of hope. It really is. Why? Because you can have past mistakes. All right? The foreclosed car, the repossessed car, the late payment, you can rebuild. In fact, when you're talking to your client and they've paid on time for 3 months and then they're late, they get really down and want to give up, you stay steady. yeah, you lost a few points. You can build those back. I mean, the crazy thing is this, is that this is almost gross, right? But like, that's the beauty of credit scores. They're empowering that way. As much as they restrict, as much as they can discriminate to a certain extent, they can also empower all. And they really, it's really calculus of hope, if you not. And so many people have given up hope. Really, so many people have just given up. I think I got 90 seconds left. Let's see. All right. You know what? I'm going to say just call them, get hooked up with CBA and Dewey Oscar. That's how I want you to handle disputes. But remember, I first want you to build, and then I want you to dispute. Quickly, people, don't always kind of believe what your client says when they're looking at their credit report. They say, oh, that has nothing to do with me, that has nothing to do with me. You're opening up cans of worms by disputing accounts that they then can prove that are toggled to the client. So be very, very careful. Okay, I want you to actually be, the only time I'm going to use this word today, conservative. But I want you to be conservative when you're disputing. You've got to be really careful. You can negotiate those amounts quickly, how to negotiate, and it's all scripted. Those collection agencies, they have a script. You call up, right? Client owes $500, and for the first 10 minutes, first of all, you'll need 20 minutes to negotiate. So you need 20 minutes to negotiate. First 10 minutes, they need all the money, okay? And then you start negotiating. If they want this, if this is what they owe, and this is what you're willing to pay, this has got to be your first offer. Because they always bid you up, okay? So they owe $500 and you say, my client will give you $100, boom. You've just started the bidding at $100, which means they'll finally agree at $350. So you never then want to say, I'll pay if you've already decided you want to negotiate at $250, you can't say that initially because then they'll start, that is your bid. That's your bidding place where you go up. They also do this kind of stuff. Let me put you on hold and talk to my supervisor about a special exception. You know, they put you on hold, they like do their hair or something, and they come back. It's all scripted. Trust me, I know people who do this for a living, and they're not friends of mine.
I just wanted to add to remind your client that they're going to get a 1099 from the IRS when they do settle debt.
Yes, thank you for that. This is true. We talked about negotiating. Oh, EITC. Another thing you might want to think about. Earned income tax credit. Many of your clients could pay off their loan that they borrow from you around earned income tax credit time. Something to consider. Guess what though? They pay off your loan if that's their only reporting line of credit. They don't have anything to build their credit. I still think you should open up that secured credit card. The other quick thing I'm going to talk about, and Brock and I are going to get down to business on this in the next quarter, I think, is that, look, earned income tax credits, billions and billions of dollars, and we're not looking at credit scores. I know how the earned income tax credit is spent. Sometimes I see cars purchased at 36% with earned income tax credit. I'm not saying that's criminal. I'm just talking about how we can push that even further. Both Republicans and Democrats would agree on, can you believe that they would agree on something, but they have to agree on this, and that is, there would be more consumption, or at least there would be, the dollar would go further. That is, the earned income tax credit could be spent at a more competitive credit score, and nobody's looking at that. Except little Galen. Galen's talking about it. Nobody else is talking about it. But we need to do something about that. Payment plans, they're murky, guys. Some payment plans don't report to credit bureaus at all, which means it doesn't do anything to the score. There are some cases that it can. Boy, we don't have any time for Q&A, and it's going to be important to talk about things. Do we have any time? Rohan's here. He's running the show. Rohan, do we have 30 more seconds? We have a minute.
1 minute.
Rohan says 1 minute. Yes.
We tie whatever people get from the.
Ooh, I didn't hear that. You did what?
We tie whatever people get
Say
from
it
the.
in the microphone.
We tie whatever people get from the earned income tax credit, and we try to ask them if they want to open up a savings fund. So usually during that time, it's like a grandma, and she'll want to save up for her granddaughter or something like that, and usually works really great.
That's cool. That's great. Anybody else? Come on, we have 60 seconds. We have more than that. Questions, comments? Who's credit counseling right now? Are any of you actually, talk about it.
So we have a grant from Capital One to do credit counseling. Basically, right now we're just doing credit education sessions. So we sit down with the client, we pull their score, look at, walk them through it, give them strategies on improving it, and also then work with them to kind of build like a long-term aspect of it. And then we're also working on developing a credit builder loan. It's just the reporting process has been a little bit tricky for us.
Excellent. I didn't really talk specifically about credit builder loans, and I'm talking about building credit scores. You're thinking that's so crazy. This is what I want to leave you with. All of your lending activity should be an exercise in credit building. That's very important. That is, any loan that you make can be a credit builder loan. Why? Because you're going to report it to credit bureaus. Look, credit building loans don't need to be this categorical small dollar loan of $150, $300. No, the $3,000 loan for the car, the used car, $5,000 loan, that can be a credit builder loan. I don't want people hung up on the branding of this is credit building. Everything can be credit building. Everything can be credit building if we're reporting to credit bureaus. You guys have been fantastic. You're the reason I got up this morning. Thanks.